Namaste everyone here at BookTube. Welcome to my channel, Hamsavahini Vajra Astra. I'm Ohana. I would first like to start off by wishing everyone a very happy new year 2021, and I wish everyone the very best this year ahead. And I had started off with posting a video on the 1st of January 2021 about the way in which, and of course my fondest memories of the year 2020 around the fireplace with my close family, friends and my father. So I posted a link to that particular video in case if you have not enjoyed it in the description box below. So you can definitely click that particular link and it will show you how I spent my New Year's Eve and welcome 2021. And with that, I would like to start off with what this channel is going to see from here on. Now, this year, I have decided to start off this channel with a theme-based reading. Now, when I say theme-based reading, which means every month there will be a particular theme, which is going to be around eco-fiction. And when I say eco-fiction, as you all know, I am a spiritual junkie as well, besides all the things that I am in life. And therefore, I would like to have a theme-based reading on shamanic totem wisdom or shamanic animal wisdom. So I would be basing I would be trying to find or create my TBR around particular animal wisdoms for every month, in which I will be trying to read as much of eco-fiction as I can and as much of environmental literature that I can. So that will be the main focus. Apart from that, there will also be a main focus on classics, as well as the other focus would be on Indian literature, of course. So I have categorized approximately, or I have tried to broadly divide this entire year's reading into, say, 46 genres and subgenres of literature, which I hope I'll be able to cover. So usually we do have people who have goals that we are going to read X number of books for this year, but I will not be focusing on the number of books. I'll be focusing on the number of genres that I'm able to cover this year, and therefore this channel will be all about diversity with a few staples. The first staple will be that there will be eco-fiction always. The second staple will be there'll be some sort of wisdom literature, which is another genre, and there will be some environmental literature as well, which is another genre in environmental studies. Of course, I am not a professional in environmental studies, but I'd like to know more about it. And bring I would say a new diversity in reading when it comes to BookTube, because I haven't seen much environmental based fiction or environmental reading which has been going on. Maybe there could have been in the earlier years, but then I just want to add to it. Also, there'll be a huge focus on classics as well as Indian literature and Asian literature as well. So with that, I will just try to start off with the theme for this month. Now, this month is January, and as we know, January is a wintry month. It's very cold. Most of the countries of the north, it's snowing, except for the southern hemisphere, of course. However, because I'm from India, so I'll be focusing on the climatic conditions of the northern hemisphere. So for the theme for January, I have chosen the theme as Winter Wolf. So since I'll be reading about wolves this month, in fact, I have not chosen many books, but it does try to cover genres which I would like to explore. So the first book which I have chosen to read is The Philosopher and the Wolf, which has been written by Rowlands. So these are lessons from the wild on love, death and happiness, and as you can see, it's really a very beautiful book. So this has the genre of this is a non-fiction book, of course, and it also fits under environmental literature. So I found this very interesting, and I'll just read from the back of this book. So it reads as: The Philosopher and the Wolf has been one of the most intense reading experiences of my life, says Jeffrey Mason. There is hardly a sentence of the book that did not engage me, stop me, make me think. It is a profound and beautiful book. And it's also mentioned over here that this classic book charts the relationship between Mark Rowlands, who is the author, a ruthless philosopher, and Brennan, his extraordinarily well-traveled wolf. More than just an exotic pet, Brennan exerted an immense influence on his owner Rowlands as both a person and as a philosopher, leading him to re-evaluate his attitude to love, happiness, nature, and death. By turns funny, what do you do when your wolf eats your air conditioning unit? And poignant, this life-affirming book tells of a relationship that transcended the species barrier. Now, there's a lot which is written as well with reviews of John Gray and Franz de Waal, but I'm not going to read this out. But this is a non-fiction which I'm reading, and a lot of philosophical aspects are given in very plain terms just by observing a pet wolf which has been part of this owner's life. So let's see where I get from here, and it looks like an interesting read, and I'm quite curious to read about this. So that would be the first book on my TBR. The second book on my TBR is a middle grade book which is The Wolf Princess by Cathryn Constable, and this is not a new book. It was released in the year 2012, I believe, so it's quite an old book, but it's a middle grade book which I did find. And also this is atmospheric literature, as well as it has magical realism. And I'm really sorry, I'm looking down because I have the genres written over here because I wanted to be very specific about the genres that the book encompasses. So coming back to the genres, this is part of atmospheric literature. It is also magical realism, and it's a middle grade. So the story reads as: on a school trip to Russia, Sophie and her two friends find themselves abandoned on a train. They are rescued by glamorous Princess Anna Volkonskaya, who took them to her winter palace and mesmerizes them with the stories of lost diamonds and a tragic past. But as night falls and wolves prowl, Sophie discovers more than dreams in the crumbling palaces of the streets. So this has also been shortlisted for Waterstone's Children's Book Prize, and it was shortlisted for Specsavers National Book Awards. So which is why I'm actually quite curious about reading this. So I hope I'll be able to read this soon and give a good review on this. Okay, so that was my second book which I had chosen. The third book which I had chosen was another non-fiction book which was called The Wisdom of the Wolves by Elli.H.Radinger, and it is how wolves can teach us to be more human. And this is an excellent book, and I am really looking forward to reading this book. It reads as, from the back of the cover, wolves aren't wolfish. They can die of broken hearts, show tenderness in their young and elderly, and their packs are led by couples with the key decisions made by females. They play, they pretend, and they predate. They are more complex than we ever know, and more like us than we ever imagined. In this unforgettable book, wolf expert and naturalist Elli.H.Radinger draws on her 25 years of experience among the wolves of Yellowstone National Park to tell us remarkable stories of the wolves she has encountered. You'll meet 06, the she-wolf, whose bold hunting technique astounded the most experienced biologists, Casanova, who succeeded in luring his love away from her pack, and Druid Alpha male number 21, the magnanimous and compassionate leader. Ultimately, Radinger shows how much we can learn from these beautiful and mysterious creatures, and how much there is to gain from emulating the wisdom of the wolves. So this is a book which I'm really looking forward to. In fact, there is a lot of literature which I did find on the Yellowstone National Park Reserve of wolves, which was named as Alpha 21, and there were more books which were available, but I did find that this was more comprehensive, and it was closer to what I was aiming for. So the one book which I really want to get into. And the next book which I have on my TBR is again a graphic novel. It's a middle grade novel, which is A Wolf Called Wanda. This is Ecofiction, and it's been written by Rosanne Rosanne Parry, and it reads as from the back of the book: inspired by a true story, Swift lives with his pack in the mountains until one terrible day rival wolves invade their home. Alone and starving, Swift must make a choice: stay and try to eke out a desperate life on the borders of his old hunting grounds, or search for a new home. But the journey he has to make is long and full of peril for a lone wolf. Will Swift find the courage to survive all by himself? So this seems to be a very interesting read, and it's a graphic novel. It's got beautiful illustrations, which I really like, so looking forward to read this one and sharing it with you. And the next book which I have is based on a darker version of Wolf, or a Lycan. And as we know, Lycan is a gothic version of, I can't really say it's a werewolf because there's a difference, but I can't really put my finger on exactly where the difference is, but I'm sure to find out and let you know as I read into it. So this is a dark fantasy which is known as Lycan the Seer, and this has been written by LG Hensel. There is another concluding part to this as well, which I am quite eager to get into, but then I have to first read this particular part. So it reads as from the back of the book: Maggie Connor thought her life was normal, mundane by some standards. She lives an unremarkable life, a freelancer photographer covering local events, weddings, and sometimes more lucrative jobs. A phone call from a mysterious man, Michael Brent, changes everything. Within a matter of months, her life is plunged into turmoil. Soon her love, Jack Anderson, and his partners are scrambling to help Maggie leave her entire life behind, starting a new one somewhere else. Jack enlists the help of his friend Ben Gurdon. Ben takes charge of delivering Maggie safely to her new home at Creekside. However, once there, Maggie learns her past life is merely a myth, a contrived scheme wrought by her parents. With the help of her new friends Rose, Evan, and Ben, Maggie navigates to the realizations of a true self, a seer. However, Creekside isn't always a safe haven. Maggie soon faces deception from those she trusts and new unseen terrors. Desperately, Maggie struggles to leave her old life behind, understands her new world, and copes with the ever-changing dangers. Soon Maggie, Rose, and Evan and Ben realize that peaceful hillside village could be hiding a secret. Knowing time may be running out, Evan and Ben try to devise a plan, but could it be already too late? So this is one book which I'm really looking forward to reading. And so the last book which I have on my TBR is Black Leopard, Red Wolf, which has been written by Marlon James. So this can be categorized under African mythology as well as Black literature. So there's a lot which has been written at the back, and this is volume 1 of the Dark Star trilogy, and it says that the child is dead and there's nothing left to know. So Tracker is a hunter, known throughout the 13 kingdoms as one who has a nose, and he always works alone, but he breaks his own rule when hired to find a lost child, and he finds himself part of a group of hunters all searching for the same boy. Each of these companions is stranger and more dangerous than the last, from a giant to a witch to a shape-shifting leopard, and each has secrets of their own. As the mismatched gang follows the boy's scent from perfumed citadels to infested rivers to the enchanted darklands and beyond, set upon at every turn by creatures intent on destroying them, Tracker starts to wonder, who is this mysterious boy? Why do so many people want to stop him from being found? And most important of all, who is telling the truth and who is lying? Drawing from African history and mythology and his own rich imagination, Marlon James weaves a tapestry of breathtaking adventure throughout a world at once ancient and startling. I'll rephrase that. Or in fact, I'll reread that. Drawing from African history and mythology and his own rich imagination, Marlon James weaves a tapestry of breathtaking adventure through a world at once ancient and startlingly modern. I hope I got that right. And against this exhilarating backdrop of magic and violence, he explores the fundamentals of truth, the limits of power, and the excess of ambition, and our need to understand them all. So this is a tome, which is what I wanted to read. So I did try to include one tome per month because I haven't been reading tomes very lately. So hopefully I should be able to keep up the practice this year on. So this book, as I mentioned, has Black literature as well as it has African mythology, and it is also a tome. So quite excited to read this one. So these are my theme-based reading books which I have planned out for this month. Now there is also another focus on classics, and for classics, of course, this is a little ambitious, but I'll never be able to get anything done if I do not have an ambitious TBR. So the first book that I'll be reading in classics is Ruth by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have already, in fact, I had already decided in the year 2020 that this year is going to be a few Victorian authors which I need to cover. In fact, I want to cover all their novels. So Elizabeth Gaskell's Ruth is something which is set in winter. I'm not sure if it's set in winter, I'm really sorry about that, but it's about the struggles of an orphan who is brought up, and she is you know, she is left out every time, and it's a story about struggle. So winter is everything to deal with the cold and the struggle with the harsh weather, so this seemed to go very well with the theme. So that is one classic which I wanted to read. The other classics I wanted to read is Winter's Night, which is written by Premchand. This is a classic, and it's a classic of Indian literature, and it is translated, of course, into English, but I wanted to read this, and I had DNF'd this book last year in, I believe, one of the readathons that I participated in, which was Gilmarathon. But then I hope I'll be able to read this because this will be a very good read for this winter, which is January, start of winter. So the third book the third novella which I wanted to read is Elizabeth Gaskell's The Old Nurse's Story. So I hope I'll be able to get through this very fast. So quite looking forward for this particular read. Now another book which is not a classic but is inspired from a figure who has been writing classical literature, and that is Jane Austen. So I'd collected these books which I have not read so far. So this is Jane and the Unpleasantness at Scaregrave Manor, and this is the first Jane Austen mystery which has been I'm sorry about that, which has been written by Stephanie Barron, and I have a collection of this, and I'll be reading one every month. So looking forward. This will be in the mystery genre. All right, and then in the classical, I wouldn't say classical Indian, but I would say the Indian literature, the first book, which that's a different section, of course. The first book which I've chosen under a fiction of Indian literature is Eve in the Land of Kali, which has been written by Prema Raghavan. It's a very small book. In fact, I'm not sure if I can call this a novella, but it's almost like a novella. It's a very short read, but the title was interesting. So it is women's fiction. That's the category it goes under. So let's see. I am quite eager to read this. The next book which I did choose was Chakravyuh, which is Through the Eyes of a Young Warrior. The misfortunes of a father are gifts of the sun, and this has been written by Aniket A.K. Sharma. This can be categorized under mythic fiction, as well as it's a retelling of one of the famous epics of Indian literature, which is Mahabharata, and it talks about the journey of Lord Arjuna, or I would say Prince Arjuna's son, Abhimanyu, and it seems to be his perspective and his point of view about the battlefield and all that he undergoes, because he was separated from his father at the tender age of 3 or 4, and he was reunited with his father at the age of 16, and then he went into the greatest battle. So it's his perspective and his view of how he looks into the entire situation. So I'm quite eager to read this particular book and share it with you as well. And the third book which I have chosen is non-fiction. This is also Indian literature. It actually falls under wisdom literature. category, and it is From the Beginning of Time, which is Modern Science and the Puranic Universe, which has been written by Ganesh Swaminathan. Now, I'm not too sure whether I'll be able to complete this book, and if I can't complete this book this month, I will surely continue this book in the month of February. But yes, this is a very informational and very interesting book. It talks about the concept and the theory of time as seen from the Indian perspective, the Vedic perspective, and the how the ancient laws and the legends used to describe it. And this also has a picture of the sun, and as we know, the sun will be growing more in strength after a particular time, at least here in India. So in India we have in the Hindu religion we have a religion we have a sacred day called Makar Sankranti, which is a point of time in the Hindu calendar when the sun starts growing in his power, or it starts growing towards the it starts warming up. The days become longer and the nights become shorter. So it's not exactly summer season, because summer season is like the zenith of his glory over here, but it is the point of time when the winter season actually starts fading away. So because of that, I did choose to read this book, and this has a lot to deal with the position of the sun and the Hindu calendar as well. So let's see where I get from here. I'll be very delighted to share this book once I finish it. If not in the month of January, it will continue in the month of February. So those will be the books that I have chosen to read in my TBR, and I hope I'll be able to get through this book. The other aspect that I'd like to mention is that most of the wrap-ups which I'll be doing for December would be in the last week of January, and that's because as per my observation, since the month of October, if I do my wrap-ups in the initial half of the reading month, or the fresh reading month, which which starts off, I tend to lag behind on my reading. So what I did try to do in December was try to make the wrap-ups in the middle of the month or towards the end of the month. And yes, I was able to do a lot of reading, or get a lot of reading done for the month of December, in the month of December, of course. So most of my wrap-ups will be, from here on, will be towards the end of the month. So the wrap-up for December will be towards the 3rd or the 4th or maybe the 5th week of January, and the wrap-ups for January will be towards the end of February. And that's because it's my observation. Of course, I should be able to do it within that month, but in case if I cannot complete it, I will try my best to keep up with that practice of finishing the wrap-up within the same month. But in case if I cannot, then I'm going to do it at the end of, or the last week of the concluding month, because otherwise I will lag behind in my reading for the current month. Now, just a look back, or a flashback into what this channel had been seeing since May 27, 2020 till December 31st, 2020, was that I focused on a lot of readathons. So there were 20 readathons which I participated in successfully, and of which besides that, there were 3 readathons which I created as well. I participated in readathons because my aim was to not only understand the diversity on booktube, but also to understand the sort of books which I read and the sort of diverse authors which I can reach out. So there were a lot of genres which I wanted to explore, and based on that, on those readathons, I have selected approximately 46 genres from the readathons which I had completed. So I hope I'll be able to involve myself and to participate in more readathons this year. However, this year, January, I am not participating in any readathon at the moment. I am just focusing on my TBR because it's a theme-based reading and there's a lot of diversity which I can actually bring about in my reading patterns, as well as it's really good because the fact is, if I most of the channels which you've seen on booktube are focused on a particular genre. For example, there is one channel which is focused on science fiction, one channel which is focused on classics, one channel which is focused on literature of diverse authors, etc. However, diversity has not been embraced, and I did not find much of ecofiction on booktube, so I'm just starting off this particular year with ecofiction, of course, and this entire year will be based on ecofiction and environmental literature. So I hope you will enjoy coming back to this channel every month, and in fact every week, as soon as I push my videos. And if you really like this video, do please click on the like button and also click on the subscribe button to be notified of the upcoming videos, and of course the bell icon. If you click on the bell icon, you will get an immediate notification. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for joining me today. Have a good reading week ahead, and namaste.